This is the Ethanol Report, the industry podcast from the Renewable Fuels Association since 2008. I'm Cindy Zimmerman. The National Ethanol Conference is coming up February 19th through the 21st in San Diego, California. With me is Jeff Cooper, President and CEO of the Renewable Fuels Association. And Jeff, first of all, what is your theme this year for the NEC?
Well, our theme this year, Cindy, is powered by partnerships. And there's a reason, like there always is, that we chose that theme. But as we were looking back over the accomplishments of the past year and really the happenings of the past year, it struck us that we really have branched out and are working with some new partners and new allies as we continue to advance the industry and move the ethanol industry forward. And then that got us thinking about some of the other partnerships and some of the allies we've worked with historically, and really got us thinking about the fact that over the past 4 decades, the ethanol industry has achieved numerous victories on the policy front, on the regulatory front, as well as victories in the marketplace. And none of those successes, none of those accomplishments would have been possible if we had just tried to do it on our own. And those things happened. Those victories were achieved because of our industry's ability to work together with really a diverse and diverse set of partners and diverse group of stakeholders. And so that's really what led to the theme for this year's conference. And again, I mentioned some of those new partners we're working with and new allies. I never would have dreamed that we would have the airline industry coming to the National Ethanol Conference, and I never would have dreamed we would be working shoulder to shoulder with companies like United and American and Southwest Airlines on new market opportunities for ethanol. Another one of those partners that we're working with and have been working closely with over the past year is the American Petroleum Institute, API. We've been working with them on legislation to permanently remove the barrier to year-round E15. As you know very well, API is not an organization we have always seen eye to eye with. We've had many tangles with that organization in the past. But again, I think it speaks to the power of partnerships and working toward a common interest when we're able to sit down at the table with groups like that and come to some agreement on a path forward that is mutually beneficial. So those are the sorts of things that we're going to be highlighting at this year's National Ethanol Conference and some of the partnerships that we're going to be discussing with the audience.
Well, as always, you have a great lineup of speakers and topics, and one just recently announced is our Secretary of Agriculture, who has been quite an advocate for the ethanol industry. So tell us about Tom Vilsack being there this year.
Yeah, we are very excited to have Secretary Vilsack joining us at the National Ethanol Conference this year. And again, kind of going back to that theme, there has been no better partner to the ethanol industry in this administration than Secretary Vilsack. And really no better, more effective advocate for ethanol and for farmers in this administration and frankly, in previous administrations. You go back to his time as the Secretary of Ag under the Obama administration, and without a doubt, Secretary Vilsack was the leading voice and leading ally we had within that administration as well. So we're really excited to welcome Secretary Vilsack to the stage at a very critical time, and certainly USDA has taken an active role in what's happening with the Inflation Reduction Act implementation and the rollout of sustainable aviation fuel tax credits and the other programs under the IRA. And so I think it's going to be really interesting to hear what Secretary Vilsack has to say about the progress around implementation of those programs and some of the other things that USDA is working on that certainly have an impact on what we're doing in the ethanol industry.
Well, when it comes to this year's program, a lot of what you just mentioned figures into that. Low carbon ethanol, sustainable aviation fuel, the Inflation Reduction Act. So talk a little bit about what you have on the program this year.
Yeah, we really are focused on, again, kind of what is next for the ethanol industry. What does our future look like, and what are some of the partnerships, again, that are going to help ensure that we are able to capture the ethanol industry's full potential moving forward. So we're going to be hearing from some of the leading innovators in the sustainable aviation fuel industry. In fact, LanzaJet, who just began operations at their ethanol to jet facility in Georgia. Their CEO is going to be speaking and providing an update on that project. We're also going to be hearing from Gevo on progress they're making with their technology and their project in South Dakota. But we're also going to be talking again about reducing the carbon intensity of ethanol, and really that's what's going to open the door to these opportunities for our industry in the future, whether that is sustainable aviation fuel or whether that is ethanol being used as a building block for green chemicals. It all boils down to how low can we get our carbon intensity with ethanol. And so there's going to be a discussion focused on reducing carbon intensity that's going to involve Summit Carbon Solutions talking about carbon capture and sequestration and their pipeline project. It's going to involve CF Industries, which of course is a major manufacturer of fertilizer. They're doing some really interesting things to reduce the carbon intensity of fertilizer production. And obviously that plays into the carbon footprint of corn ethanol. We're going to, really be talking to folks throughout the supply chain for corn ethanol about the things that are being done and the new technologies that are emerging to help reduce carbon intensity across that entire supply chain.
Well, and once again, the Renewable Fuels Foundation has awarded scholarships to young people to attend the conference. I think you have one of the biggest groups to get those scholarships, if not the biggest. Tell us a little bit about that program.
We've awarded a record number of scholarships for this year's NEC. We're actually giving out 8 scholarships this year. Most of those are to students, university students. Some of those are undergrad students. A couple of them are working on their master's degrees. I think we even have one PhD candidate who is getting a scholarship this year. But then there are a few, I think 3 young professionals from the industry who are also receiving those scholarships to attend the NEC. And again, our foundation board decided a few years ago that yes, we should remain focused on getting students to our event so they can learn more about the industry and start building their networks. But we also want to give those young professionals that are starting a career in our industry an opportunity to get to really the premier event for the industry and make some connections and meet some people and begin building their networks and learning more about the industry that they are starting out in. So we're really excited about that. We had a record number of applicants for the scholarship this year. And so it's been really cool to see that program continue growing and evolving. We've been giving out these scholarships for many years. I think we figured that we're now beyond 60 people that have received these scholarships to attend the NEC since we began this program several years ago. And I think that's great. That's one of the reasons we're here is to help educate the next generation of leaders and help develop them and bring them along so that, we can continue to grow and evolve as an industry.
Well, I think it's the 15th year for the program, but it seems like it's really gotten even bigger when you renamed it a few years ago after Bob.
Yeah, that's right. We did rename our scholarship program after Bob Sather, who was one of our board members for many, many years at RFA. And he, of course, was very active in founding Ace Ethanol in Wisconsin. Bob was in the education. He was a career educator, worked in the school system, and had a passion for teaching students about renewable fuels and teaching students about agriculture and about the benefits of ethanol. And so we did rename the program after Bob a number of years ago. And it does seem like it's really grown and gained even more popularity since then.
Well, and also you mentioned the young professionals, and you started the young professionals network a few years ago, and they meet every year at the conference. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our Young Professionals Network now has, I think, close to 250 members. And again, these are people working in the ethanol industry that are under 40 years of age. So I certainly don't qualify to be a member of the YPN. But we do have, it's been very popular, and we do have a number of new members. There is a reception every year in conjunction with the National Ethanol Conference that is just for the Young Professionals Network, and it gives them a great chance to get together with their peers, meet new people, make some introductions, and learn about what's going on in other parts of the industry. And it's been a great program. I think we, the last few years have really put a lot of focus and priority on growing that organization within the RFA, and it's I think been very popular, and given young people in our industry a chance to build their networks and frankly to learn from some of the more seasoned veterans in the industry, people who have been around the industry for several decades and have lots of experience and wisdom to share. I think this has been a great opportunity to do that.
And last year you started a new group of people within the industry, and that's the Veterans for Renewable Fuels. And you're really going to have their kind of a kickoff there at your NEC in San Diego, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's another new group that we have started, is the Veterans for Renewable Fuels, or VRF as we call it, and that really started because there are a number of military veterans working in the ethanol industry, and in fact, 15% or more of our workforce, according to the Department of Energy, is made up of military veterans, and so we want to give those folks an opportunity to get together with their peers and other veterans working in the industry, and swap stories and swap experiences, and just build relationships and camaraderie. And so we are having a sort of a kickoff event for those folks in conjunction with the NEC as well. And what better place than San Diego, which of course has a very significant presence of military personnel in that area, lots of Navy in particular. And so we're actually going to be doing an event the afternoon after the NEC sort of wraps up, where all of the members who are in attendance, who are veterans, will have a chance to go out on some swift boats, and really tour the San Diego harbor area and all of the military installations around the area, and kind of learn about the history of the military presence in San Diego, and really the importance of those installations there to our nation's military history. So that'll be a great event and opportunity. I'm certainly looking forward to that as well.
Well, the conference is coming up right around the corner here, February 19th in San Diego. Can people still register?
Absolutely. We'll be, registering attendees all the way up until the conference starts. We always have a number of walk-ins. People from the local area are certainly welcome and encouraged to come by and register and learn more about what's happening in the ethanol industry. We are expecting the most, highest level of attendance that we've had in probably 6 or 7 years at this year's event. We're ahead of last year's pace, and last year was a great year for attendance. We'll have close to 1,000 people registered when the conference begins, and we're really excited about that.
All right. Well, and it's easy to find the information. It's right at nationalethanolconference.com, right?
That is correct. Nationalethanolconference.com. That's got the agenda. It's got all the information you could possibly want about the event. We didn't talk about a lot of the other sessions and speakers that are going to be featured. So that's a great way to check out who else is going to be talking and what other topics we're going to be covering.
And well, the NEC is definitely the place to be if you're in the ethanol industry. So make sure you go today to nationalethanolconference.com. And that's the Ethanol Report. Thanks for listening.